Welcome back. The news in full. Minister of Foreign Migration and Egyptian Expatriates Affairs Badr Abdelati stressed that any vision for the next day in Gaza must be within the framework of the unity of the West Bank and Gaza Strip and must include the return of the Palestinian Authority to the Strip. This came during a phone call made by Foreign Minister Abdelati with his Portuguese counterpart Paulo Ringer. The call tackled means of enhancing bilateral relations between the two countries and the latest regional developments. Foreign Minister Abdelati asserted on the necessity that the Palestinian people must remain in Gaza during the early recovery and reconstruction phase. The top diplomat welcomed Portugal's supportive stance towards the Palestinian cause, confirming Egypt's priority to cement the ceasefire agreement and implement its 3 phases, as well as treat the catastrophic humanitarian situation in the Strip. Minister of Foreign Migration and Egyptian Expatriates Affairs Badr Abdelati stressed Egypt's keenness to promote bilateral relations with Uganda in various fields, especially in the political, economic and security fields. This came during a phone call made by Foreign Minister Abdelati with his Ugandan counterpart Henry Oryem Okello. Foreign Minister Abdelati assured the importance of arrangements to hold the second round of political and technical consultations during the current month to achieve the common interests of both countries. The call dealt with exchanging views on a number of regional issues of common interest and stressing the necessity of continuing coordination between the two countries in regional and international forums in the line with holding the upcoming African Summit. Foreign Minister Badr Abdelati asserted that Egypt is paying great attention for its relations with Mozambique that was shown during President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi's visit to Mozambique in 2023. This came in a phone call made by Foreign Minister Abdelati with Mozambican counterpart Maria Manuela Lucas. Abdelati stressed the continuation of Egypt's commitment to support Mozambican efforts in the field of combating terrorism, including the security, military, social and development levels. The two ministers discussed the preparations of holding the first round of political consultations between the two countries during the current year. Both top diplomats also tackled a number of issues of mutual concern. On top of them, the preparations to hold the next African Union Summit and files regarding boosting the work of the Union and institutional reform. Egypt condemned in the strongest terms the Israeli occupation forces' outrageous, irresponsible and unacceptable statement regarding the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, which incite against the kingdom and called for the establishment of a Palestinian state on its territories. Egypt asserted that these proposals violate the Saudi sovereignty and constitute a violation of international law and the United Nations Charter. In the statement, Egypt expressed its complete rejection of what it described as reckless remarks that undermine the security and sovereignty of the United Kingdom and affirmed its full solidarity with Saudi Arabia and called upon the international community to condemn them. Egypt also stressed that Saudi Arabia's security is a red line that it will not allow to be crossed, adding that the stability and national security of Saudi Arabia are integral to the security and stability of Egypt and all the Arab nations. Head of Palestinian NGOs network Amgad al-Shawa stressed that Egypt has a main role in protecting the Palestinian cause and preventing all the attempts of its liquidation. Al-Shawa affirmed the necessity of continuing the besiege of Israeli occupation and exposure of Israeli continuous violations during the war on Gaza and holding responsibility before the International Criminal Court, in addition to the crime of genocide at the International Court of Justice. He added that Israel continues putting the hurdles to implement the rest of ceasefire stages. Palestinian group Hamas handed over 3 Israeli hostages on Saturday in the latest stage of a ceasefire deal aimed at ending the 15-month war in Gaza. Dozens of armed Hamas fighters were deployed at the site in Deir al-Balah in central Gaza, as the hostages were handed over to the International Committee of the Red Cross, which was to transport them to Israeli forces in Gaza. In exchange, Israel released 183 Palestinian prisoners, some convicted of involvement in attacks that killed dozens of of people, and including 18 serving life sentences and 111 detained in Gaza during the war. Despite hiccups, a 42-day ceasefire and hostage for prisoner exchange worked out with U.S. backing and mediation by Egypt and Qatar has held up since it took effect nearly 3 weeks ago. The Israeli genocide war against Palestinians in Gaza has killed more than 47,000 Palestinians and devastated much of the narrow enclave.